Ever have one of those days where you do a big half-hour recording and then realize that your microphone wasn't on while you did the recording? Oh dear. Well, so we're going to start over with this. I've got a new mod list together, and there's some really cool stuff in here. The big one is no, not the Lepsius map, although that is really nice. It's from the Morgenroth team, and it gives a new map. I'll show that in the video there. But I do now have Morgenroth all in here with plenty of com patches. We've got the industry realism one that's working with it. The stockpile economy works fine. Some other mods I had got ripped out because we didn't need them anymore. Political and economic changes now is compatible with Morgenroth, so good news there. It's working fine. And then there's this new one here, or actually it's the same old one, but it's been modified. It's called Production and Trade. And this fixes trade. Now, the key is you've got to load it before Hail Columbia, or Hail Columbia does some weird stuff. If we do this, it will mean that U.S. corporations don't all deploy, and we wind up without having any what are those things called? we wind up without any luxury furniture or clothing production. I think that's also part of the industry realism thing. Just leave it like that. There are better ways of populating buildings on the map, and both the authors of Great Revision and Industry Realism are aware of that and will have those in their new mods in 1.9. They've said that that's the plan, and I believe them. I believe them. These guys are great people. So, but anyway, but yeah, you load Hail Columbia second, and then it'll all work. And yes, you just have a little bit of the beginning of the game where you're missing a few goods, and within a few months, the AI has built them, and you're trading, and it's all working out great. Now, that I've got all this working out well together, let me show you a game where I've got Morgenroth and all these other mods going, and what the economy looks like around 1869. All right, here we are. Got my game going. It's 1869. And you can see we've got Bulgaria being pulled out and stuff going on in the Ottoman Empire. The GBBF mod is working great. Morgenroth is doing fine because I'm improving my forestry. I'm working on Art Nouveau architecture. Germany started some trouble with me because I'm playing France, and I set them straight. So we've got that cleaned up there. Well, I say cleaned up, but they're beat up. And the USA did just fine. It had some other issues later on, but the ones that go with Hail Columbia being broken, don't have them anymore because, again, I've got the production and trade loading before Hail Columbia. It works just fine. So, yeah, all the mods are working fantastically, and this is not the first playthrough that I have done with all those mods. So that's why there's been so long since the last video, because I've been doing all this testing here to make sure everything works out right. And now I want you to look up in the upper left-hand corner, right where I've got my cursor, where it says Global GDP 2.01 billion, and this is 1869. Normally, I don't see a billion GDP until later on in the 1800s, and I'm at 2 billion. And it's 1869. I hit 1 billion around 1858 or so, around that time. And this is consistently with my games. This is not like, oh boy, it's a special one. It's like, no. The last several runs I've done, I've hit 1 billion in the late 1850s and 2 billion in the late 1860s. I generally get up to that point, get up to the mid 1870s, and then start over another run because I want to be able to test out another patch or whatever. This is when I want to try to get through all the way to the end on, because there's some nice, cool content in Morgenroth with Ferrari driving and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I gotta have that, yay! But right now, the trade is most important. So the global GDP is already very high, and when you see that my contribution is only 20%, again, in other games where I'm hitting 1 billion and then 2 billion. The country I'm playing tends to be anywhere from 1/3 to 1/2 of the global GDP, and I feel like I'm the only one doing the heavy lifting as far as the economics go. I'm the only one building factories. I'm the only one whatevering. Not so here. When we look at the trade patterns, we're going to see some amazing results. Let me show you here. I go to market, and let's go to trade routes, and let's get off of all routes. Let's go to all. Okay. And let's sort by revenue. Right away, we see 12,000 units of wood coming to my country from Russia. Now, I have got a surplus of wood. If I scroll around here, I'm up 12K. So apparently, something's really good with the way Russia's wood is going, because that's not the only Russian wood trade that I have. I'd like to see the game logic get a little bit better at this sort of thing, but be as it may, this is what we have. And it's actually a lot better than it has been for other ones. What do I mean by that? Well, I've seen plenty of other games where when I look at all the trade, it's a small part of my economy. A lot of it is negative, and it's just disappointing, where I keep feeling like I've got to bring other countries into my trade block and just in order to set up any kind of meaningful trade with them. Not so here. Russia is not on my trade block. Neither is China. And we'll see. Well, it was here a minute ago. But anyway, yeah, don't worry about that. I know I do have some trade, some big silk trade with China there, and definitely plenty of wood, plenty of iron, plenty of wheat coming into my country from Russia. Hey, all right, I'm in favor of that. And if you look at my shortages, yeah, I'm down by 2,000 glass because I just converted all my production methods over to the steel frame buildings. The next one up is instrument shortage, and then meat and my grain is only off by 487. Out of look, I got 43K going back and forth, and I'm only off by 487 in the mid game. This is incredible. Usually I'm off by thousands in multiple goods because the AI can't handle it. But with this one mod, and I've tested with it and without it, and it's this mod that makes a difference. The Grand Revision Production and Trade from Sasco, this is the one that makes that difference, because we get these kinds of trades from countries that make certain things. Like Russia will make wood, it will make grain, it exports that stuff. Sweden makes wood and makes iron. I know they're in the British market, but if we look in there, we would see under the British iron producing areas tons of it coming out of Sweden. Well, and Norway too. But these places are famous for that, and that's what they're doing. That's what they're making. I love that. If I look at my goods themselves and look at the balances, yeah, I'm making a lot of tools. Okay. But I'm only over by 10,000. And really, if I look at this, I'm trying to export plenty of tools here. It's not like I've got 40,000 extra tools. And if we look at these other balances, I'm short on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 goods. That's it. We got rid of hardwood, by the way, that we don't need that one. But only 9 goods does my market have a shortage on. Everything else is in slight excess. We're having good prices. Plenty of commerce going on. This is fantastic stuff. What were the changes made? Number one, at the start of the game, there are a few extra buildings that get populated in order to give these countries a corporation in a particular area, with the knowledge that the AI focuses on those corporations and really builds things for them and gets better throughput and things of that sort. Does it necessarily do the same thing with other goods? It doesn't seem like it's going to be as gung-ho about it as it is with corporations in place. So we haven't tried it without the corporation, but we do know that with the corporations in place, places like Russia and Austria, Germany and France can really push forward with certain kinds of production and really make a lot of it, make an impact in the world with those particular goods. And when they do that at the very beginning of the game, if I'm looking for a grain trade, Austria and Russia have got tons on order. Bring it in. Now, this also means if I go to a war, like go back to these trade routes, like what if I have a war with Russia? How much of my trade is coming to me from Russia? Let's see here. No, that's North German market. No. I want this one here. There we go. No, that's just... Oh, there we go. Okay, so... Well, that's all the trade that Russia's doing here. But anyway, I think the point is, if I go to war with Russia, I better find another source of lumber or I'm in trouble. If I go to war with England again, I'm going to need some more furniture, a lot of it there. Now, a couple of things for the Paradox developers that if there any of them are out there listening, I hope they pick up on this. You're doing a big trade revision in patch 1.9. This production and trade mod, one, it gets those goods specialized and pushes them out. Two, it does something with the AI that I think is very important. This is something that Sasco figured out. Sasco and I were talking about how are we going to figure this thing through, and then one day he had the revelation. Here it is. If you have something where there are no tariffs on exports or imports, which is the default in the game, we see these trade circles set up where you have, say, iron is being exported by country A to country B, and then country B exports iron to C, and then C exports its iron to A. And so A is importing the iron from C that is exporting to B, that gets exported to C, that gets imported back to A, and it just keeps going back around, and they add more to it, and it's weird behavior. It doesn't make sense. If you want to make sure that you don't have these circles develop, you've got to do something different with the tariffs. Human beings understand free trade. No tariff on import, no tariff on export. We get it. And we're able to think about that. AI just misses the script on it. We have to actually tell it, look, there's some things you're going to want to import, so only import those. And there's certain things you're going to want to export, and you only export those. By making these changes in both stable supply policy and pro-specialization market, I think it's also, we also see a little bit of here in mercantilism as well. We've changed those numbers. And I say we because Sasco had the original idea. I did some testing and said, okay, let's move it up, let's move it down, and then tweak, got it there. So I'm the E and he's the capital W in the we, so he's the big guy there. But yeah, so we tweaked with the numbers and got it to where it works out fine. Now, isolationism just basically means ain't no trade nowhere. You don't have to tweak numbers there. It just cuts it off. But all the other ones, we now have it where it's going to fix trade. The AI does it properly. And the results are incredible because starting at the beginning of the game, you've got a few extra goods on the market. The AI wants to keep making more of those goods, which are important for growth. And the other AI nations import what they can't make themselves and export what they do make themselves. That is specialization. That is the way trade is supposed to work. Yes, it's great. Instead of importing exactly what they export, they import what they're not efficient at making and export what they are efficient at making, and the world profits. That's why I'm sitting on top of 2 billion GDP in 1869, and it's only going to get more. Now, while you're working on the trade, though, let's go back to that trade screen. Let's go back to, we have all. There are a number of trade routes that I can't cancel because they're just grayed out. They're the ones that the AI made. These are still getting tracked. This is why my game in 1869 is feeling like it's a bit later in the game than this year would normally indicate. Normally, I'm going through really fast because, well, there's hardly any trade to be had, and so the game just blasts through. But as more and more of these routes are set up, it's not just the pops that slow down the game, it's the trade routes that don't get cleaned up. Find a way to clean these up, please. And not just these. Let's look at some other ones. Like, all right, so we've got groceries, 11, 11, 12, 12, all Russian involved. And there are these little tiny ones here. Is there a way that we could consolidate these? Or get it to where if you already have a trade route for a particular good with a particular country, that instead of, you just check for that, and if you need more of it, you add more to that particular route, rather than adding another route that needs to get checked on and slows the game down, because this is happening for all the other countries. If I switch around to other countries in the world, we are going to see the same kind of unusual stacking of these multiple small routes to the same country, the same direction of trade, and these just they're just piles of trades that need to be consolidated. And even if we go back up to the really successful ones, yay, I'm importing 12,000 wood from Russia. Oh, wait, another 8,000. Oh, wait, another 3,000. Another. What? Oh, here's another 1,500. Yeah, we go by goods and then break them out here. We still don't get the full picture here because it's not combining them all together. So let's go by country instead. Yes, let's look at how. Let's look at Russia now. Here, what happened to that big 12,000 thing from Russia? I don't know. But anyway, uh, yeah, that's some weird stuff there. I guess we see all these other Russian trade routes here. To I don't know. But anyway, and yeah, I'm importing all of this. So uh, it needs to be consolidated. We'd like to have accurate information. Again, we go here, sort by country, and look back at Russia, and I see just the one trade route for wood. That ain't right, because if we go over here to goods, and let's go to wood, and yep, I'm importing 27,000, and here's all of them, and you can tell the only ones that are in thousands besides Russia are from the Confederacy, and that's it. And the rest are just really tiny ones. Clearly, this needs to be consolidated because if we can consolidate these, just like we want to be able to consolidate populations, if we consolidate the trade route information, we get a better situation. Now, another thing that would be good is if we get a global trade bucket. So whatever is shipped to another country is actually being used in that other country, and that we don't pull things out of the air, we don't ship into the air, or that you have to make what's being used and use what's being made and all that. That would be nice too. A global overall market that other markets participate in. But we want it to be where we get to a good size economy rapidly and that it keeps growing, because that makes the game more challenging. Again, when I don't have the production and trade mod running, I build my nation. I'm the only one who's really doing industry. And by around this time of the game, I am so powerful usually that my word is law everywhere, and nobody is able to stand up to my power. And I can just pretty much just keep playing the game, and I don't have to worry about some other country catching up to me, because they never will. I'm the only one building industry, remember? Not so here. The production and trade mod makes this game so much more challenging, because by building out that industry, places like Great Britain and Germany became very powerful competition for me. They even had an alliance together for a while that was just, oh my gosh, it nearly destroyed my country. Then I had to fight Britain on their own. And that was a difficult war to get through. And then I had to fight Germany on their own when they started a power play. And they had built their army up hugely while I was fighting over the British. And I wasn't ready to deal with the German threat. And I had to build my army as the war went on. And I'm losing territory as I build my army. And I'm hoping that my forces can hold. They did. We got it up from negative to 0 to slight positive. And then we started pushing it back. And I just had to keep building my army out. And I've got like almost 1,000 conscripts and 600 battalions, and it's like, But yeah, you can see by my war goals, I was ready to. When Germany attacked on me, I said, okay, we're gonna liberate, and just get them all broken out of Germany, so that way they don't come at me with that kind of unification again. Wow, but I'm having these terrible fights, these just really big struggles that are meaningful because of their difficulty, and it's here in the mid game. I'm not stomping on the world because I've got the world's largest economy. I'm dealing with coalitions because I have the world's largest economy. It is much more entertaining and challenging. That's what we need to do. We need to have it where the AI knows a better way of trading, and that's what this mod does. And with that better trade, it has healthier economies, stronger armies, and presents much more of a realistic challenge in this game. Absolutely. Sasco's The Great Revision production and trade mod that I talked about earlier, that's what you want in this game. Load it before Hail Columbia. I've got it in my new mod list on my Discord server. We've got it in text file and JSON format, and I've listed every single mod that I have in order, all 81 of them. And don't worry, a bunch of them are com patches and a bunch of them are just quality of life things, and everything's in an order that works out really well, except for the fact that when I start the game, we're going to be missing some luxury clothes and luxury furniture and a little bit of fruit. The game takes care of that quickly, and you've got a magnificent experience coming ahead. So I want to get to the end of this game. I want to do some more Morgenroth playthrough and just enjoy what we have here in Victoria 3. And when the 1.9 comes out, if the trade revamp does not deliver us a really cool thing like what we have here, don't worry. Sasco knows what to do to fix everything. We're all right. And if it does fix everything, well, then great. We'll just rip the mod out and have a celebration. I really do hope that they are able to consolidate. I really do hope they can do that. But until that time, enjoy this. It'll get a little slower towards the end, but you'll have so much to do with Morgenroth. You'll be hitting pause all the time so you can deal with everything. It's going to be great fun. You like, comment, subscribe. Keep me in your dreams and pray for me and send money. No, don't send me money. Donate to the Trevor Project if you live in the USA. That's a great charity. Or find some other charity to donate to that helps people stay alive. I love things that give people hope. So don't send me money. Send them money. Yeah. Anyway, have a wonderful day. I'm rambling on. Maybe this is a good time for me to cut myself off in the middle of a sentence so I can go back to play more of this Victoria 3 game.